Someone who shares this passion that we have for the visitor is our next guest, Michael McQuillan. And I'll not steal his thunder, but I think it'd be true to say that Michael articulates the goal for the world-class customer service very well, and hopefully you'll all be inspired by what you're about to hear. So thank you. Over to Michael.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for that, Carolyn. I was lucky enough to attend the launch of this a couple of weeks back, and then the equivalent of this in Belfast just a few weeks ago. I was really lucky to be in Belfast at the weekend with the whole MTV goings on, and here again this morning. And I, like as Jennifer said earlier on, I'm so excited about the potential that 2012, 2013 and beyond presents for us, for all of our businesses. And I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking at it from a different perspective, just from the customer's perspective. Because no matter what we do in terms of investing millions of pounds in beautiful project buildings or massive events, if we don't see it from a customer's perspective, we haven't seen it at all. And very, very quickly over the weekend there in Belfast, I was trying to sort of get a feel for who was coming to Belfast for the event, and I got to speak to various people. Got to speak to a guy who had a Galway registration, so I could chatting to him, and I said, "Are you here for the weekend, or what are you doing?" He says, "No, I'm up because of the MTV Awards." I says, and he was an older gentleman, but like myself, maybe just wasn't the concert going type. And I said, "That's interesting." He says, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm a plane spotter." And he had come from Galway to stay in a guest house just outside Belfast and spend his great money in the area because there was 27 private jets in the Belfast City Airport, and he had this big lens, and he was up on the bridge at D Street. And I thought, wow, now there is what I call a peripheral customer that I hadn't thought about, that's generated by a big event. I met another couple then, which really brings home what I'm talking about. And they were there for the event. They were lucky enough to get tickets for the concert in the City Hall, which on TV was just absolutely fantastic. And they were dead excited. And I said, I got a bit nosy with them. They were in the restaurant that I was eating in. And I said, "Can I just ask about your experience in Belfast over the weekend? Because it really, really interests me." And we got talking, and they said, "Well, we went out on Friday night and it was not good." And I says, "Well, what happened?" He says, "Well, we got into this taxi, and we talked to the taxi driver. It's really exciting in Belfast the weekend." And he says, "Exciting? It's a bloody pain in the back end." And I says, "Well, tell me what this." Well, he was complaining about the fact that the roads outside the City Hall had been closed for a period of time, and that it disrupted his Friday night, and that everything was a bit of a mess. And she said, "We couldn't wait till the taxi stopped. We were very frightened of this man." And I thought, oh dear, that's terrible. They then says, "But would you hear this? The guest house that we're staying in, we wanted to take a walk out down round the town and the Odyssey and whatnot on Saturday afternoon. It was a beautiful day all over the north on Saturday. And the guest house owner turned around and said, "Look, listen here, it's going to be difficult out there." And she probably did cafes like ours a bit of damage, but said, "Let me make you a packed lunch and a flask of hot chocolate, and you can take it with you because you can enjoy the weather." She gave them a wee map of Belfast, pointed out where the Odyssey was, and where the City Hall was, and where the Ulster Hall was, where all the different venues were, and really enhanced their Saturday experience in Belfast. The taxi driver's on one extreme, and the guest house owner is on the other extreme. And we've got to go more towards where the guest house was if we're to really see it from the customer's perspective. So, don't have to go over it again, but it just, we'll refer to it quickly, the excitement of what's coming over the next number of years. And the Tourist Board have their strategy in place. By 2020, we're talking about 4.5 million visitors, generating about £1 billion in our economy. Now, that's a very, very big pie. And all of us in this room, all of us have businesses and business interests and organisations that can get part of that pie, and a growing part of that pie. We've talked about the projects this morning. Again, I came in this morning, the sun was shining, the Peace Bridge had people going both ways. It's just beautiful. It's iconic. And when, I'm looking forward, I was thinking there, we were talking about itineraries there. I'm thinking of getting a group of friends, get them on an airport or bus, get them up to stay in the Beach Hill to go to the Peace One concert in Ebrington. I'm going to do it. I can't wait. I think it's a fight. Their customers. It's just adding that little bit to customer service. It could be through a database that's collected, knowing when a customer's birthday is, and when they arrive, giving them a muffin with a candle in it and giving them a bit of a happy birthday. It can be the small things, because in customer service, small things make a huge difference. And it's just looking at the small things. So our customer service teams are charged every time they get together, and they get together about once a month. And their goal is in the early stages to come up with 12 surprise and delight ideas. That means once a month they introduce something into their system that they can hope to surprise a few customers or delight a few customers. The teams then that mature a bit and are together a little bit longer, their goal is to get from 12 to 52, so that there's one a week. Once a week they can surprise and delight a customer. And you know where I'm going, that the really mature businesses try to get to 365. With the 365 things, a list of it, we then put it on our intranet so that all of the other franchisees can share on all of the surprise and delight ideas that are there. And it's amazing. And it's the small things that make a huge difference. So let's get the whole team on board, keep them informed, train them, and you'll start to be heading in the right direction. Get into your customer's shoes. Now, let me tell you how I get into my customer's shoes for the first time. Many years ago, in the sort of mid-late 80s, was a trainee manager in a London hotel, and you had to go through every single department in the hotel, and I was in the housekeeping department. And to complete my certification as an approved housekeeper, I had to go in and have a look at a room which had just been perfectly cleaned by some of the chamber staff, and I had to check it. The head housekeeper was then checking my check. So I went in, and I knew that they would put a couple of wee things sort of wrong so that I could point them out. So I went in pretty nervous, clipboard in hand, and I went in, had a look around the room, and you check the ledges of the paintings for dust, and I thought I picked a wee bit of dust up and thought maybe they planted that sort of dust on the top of the picture. In the olden days, back in those days, you didn't have quilts in your bed. You had beautiful sheets. I'm still a big fan of beautiful crisp white sheets. Lovely crisp white sheets. Hospital folds. It's not only nurses learn how to do hospital folds. I learned how to do a really good hospital fold as a chamber person in the Londonderry Hotel many moons ago. Check all the folds. The folds were perfect. Yep, they seemed all right. Beside each of the beds, lovely little bedside table, and in the drawers in the hotel, they always had a Gideon's Bible. And unfortunately, guests would deface those from time to time, or put things into them and what have you to annoy guests. So I checked the Bible to make sure there wasn't anything in there. And I picked up one or two wee things, and I thought, right, happy enough. Check the bathroom, checked around the entrance area, checked to make, because the big thing is that the customer before has maybe left a jacket or something hanging in the wardrobe, and there's nothing worse than coming into a hotel and finding someone else's clothes. You just feel, oh, this isn't my room, someone else has been here, even though the fact is thousands of people have been there before you. But anyway, I went out to the head housekeeper, very large German girl, and she says, "You finished?" I went, "Yes," and she says, "Let's go check." So we went in, and we started to check the room, and she checked around, and I think, things are going pretty good here. I'm happy. Things are going very well. And she says, "Get into the bathroom." So when a very large German girl tells you to get into the bathroom, you get into the bathroom. So I get into the bathroom, and you're all wondering where the toilet came from. She says, "Sit on the toilet." So when a very large German girl tells you to sit in the toilet, you sit on the toilet. So I sat in the toilet, and she said, "Look up." And I looked up, and just that little corner behind the door of the bathroom, there was a little bit of yellow paper stuck to the wall. And my heart sank. I failed. I'm devastated. I apologised. She says, "Go and get it." So I jumped up, small and all as I am, grabbed it down, had a look at it, and it said, "You missed me." And I had. And I was wrong, and I was poor. And she said, "Bend over the bath." Now, when a very large German girl tells you to bend over the bath, you bend over the bath. So I bent over. She said, "Further." So I bent over further. She said, "Now look up." And I looked up. Underneath the tap, another little bit of yellow paper. Pulled it off. "You missed me as well." I was gutted. I was absolutely devastated. And she says, "Michael, you've done really, really well. This room has been cleaned, and you have checked it as a housekeeper would look at it, which is fairly good, and that's acceptable." She said, "But what's unacceptable is that you have not looked at this room from a customer's perspective. Because when customers come in here, they come into this room and they've had a busy day's work or a busy day's shopping, or they're just back from the theatre, or they've had a meal downstairs, and they'll come in, they'll throw their jacket on the bed, and they'll probably want to go to the loo, and they'll go in and they'll sit in the loo and they'll go, I'm in London, I'm tired. And if they look up and they see cobwebs in that corner that you missed, that's their first impression of this hotel. That's where the customers get their first impression from. And from a housekeeper's point of view, your sightlines miss that. They'll then continue their stay in the room, and they'll be preparing to go out later on. They'll get undressed and they'll be running the bath and get into the bath, and they'll slip down into the bath. Lots of beautiful suds provided by the hotel. But if they slip underneath, and trust me there are, if there's hairs or toenails or gunge underneath that tap, that's the first impression of this hotel, because that's what the customers see. She told me a very, very valuable lesson that day. To everything I have done since, continue to try to do, if we develop a new product or a new element of service or any businesses that I'm talking to, I say, right, this is brilliant, it's fantastic. Now let's get into the different types of customers that will be using us. Let's get into their shoes. We make fun of it. We do get funny shoes on and funny hats and all on. And we walk it, or we surf it on the internet, or we do the whole experience from a customer's perspective. And trust me, there has never been a case where we've changed something, or we've added something to it, or we've done something differently, because we have looked at it intricately from our customer's viewpoint. And my advice is, as we get ready for 2012, 2013, even if you're complacent, you think you're doing a really good job, get in there and do it from your customer's perspective. I would say walk your business, surf it if it's online, navigate it if it's about buying online. Write down all of the learns, get the team involved, write down all the learns, and immediately act on it. Immediately act on it. We have an intranet for our franchisees to access, and we're very proud of it, and we think it's very good, and they log on and they come into it. I was at a meeting about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and one of the franchisees said to me, we were saying, how's the internet, how do you feel? And oh, it's great, if we didn't feel like criminals every time we went onto it. And I went, what? I said, every time we go onto it, this big thing comes up that license has expired in this intranet. You know, this is a danger area. You could be subject to viruses, all sorts of things. I was apologetic. I was cross. I was thankful for the feedback. Rang the IT folks, and I said, guys, what's going on? I said, Michael, we didn't realise the licence had expired. And you know, it's fine, it's accessible, but this big sign does come up. Our problem was that we hadn't walked through it. We hadn't surfed through it as a franchisee for a number of weeks. We were providing it from our side, but we hadn't experienced it from the other side, and we slipped up. So don't just do it once, continually do it as well. Harness real feedback. There's lots of feedback systems, whether it be get a mystery shopper, get online feedback. We have a lovely system at the moment. It's called How Have We Been, using the coffee bean side of things. And we're harnessing customer feedback. And the key thing is act on the learns. So that's about getting into your customer's shoes. So we know now, appoint a team or a champion, get them to meet regularly, set agenda, customer service on the agenda, act, not lip service, true service. Get into your shoes of your customers, all the different types of your customers. And if that involves, what we do is we walk through the business as a family, we walk through the business as people who want to have a meeting, we walk through the business as someone in a wheelchair, we come through the business on the frames for people with mobility issues, and then we react and tweak accordingly. So I would encourage that. Great service yesterday is basic service today. Let me explain what I'm saying here. And this is sometimes really important and something that's forgotten about. If you imagine a set of steps, and at the bottom of it, very basic, before you get to it, unacceptable. Halfway up, great service, and right at the top, exceptional service at a set of steps. Now, there's a whole range of levels of service in between that. The idea of all of our businesses should be right at the top of those stairs, providing exceptional service. And lots of people in this room, you know, to hear what they're doing in airport or in the Beach Hill, that's exceptional service. That is exceptional service. But to hear what they're doing in airport or in the Beach Hill, investing so much time in training and investing so much time in tweaking the product and, you know, putting rooms downstairs because they know that more over 55-year-olds need that, you know, reacting to the conditions, that's keeping them exceptional. Because if you don't employ that sort of behaviour, what happens to your business is that it begins to slip. So change the stairs into an escalator and imagine the escalator going down. Yesterday's exceptional really becomes tomorrow's good or great service, and yesterday's great service becomes basic, and yesterday's basic becomes totally unacceptable. In terms of a taxi driver, you know, you've got the taxi driver with the ripped seat and the smelly seat and the guy who doesn't, and the guy in Belfast last weekend who really was annoyed about the whole event. That's unacceptable. Then you've got the guy who's basic, you know, he turns up, he's got a car, might just be beyond his MOT, he turns up, he gets you from A to B, but you know what, he doesn't give you much more information. Then you've got the great guy, that's the guy, you know, the car smells good, you know it's good, there's a bit of sheen off the seats, he's presented very well, clean shaven, looks good, you've more confidence in him, he's got how much you're going to pay him, well displayed, he's maybe got a couple of leaflets in behind. And then you've got the exceptional taxi driver. That's the guy who really knows about the events of the weekend, and he knows how long it's going to take you to get there. He knows where you can go afterwards. He knows the best place where you can go for a drink beforehand, and he's got all of the other businesses in the room with their flyers because they know he's the exceptional taxi driver in the city. That's the different levels of one simple business. So my advice, depending on your business, there's hundreds of things you can do. You know, what was a superb guest information brochure, website, or whatever it was 2-3 years ago? Go back and have a wee look at it. Trust me, there's a few things out of date. There's lots of things now your customers do. What was exceptional then is probably just great now. You need to get it exceptional for 2012, 2013. We've talked about social media. I, like one of the previous speakers, know very little about it. We have taken a GAP student in to work with us just on social media. Twitter, and I need my daughter here to tell me, Twitter and Facebook and all of that. But it's really exciting because guess what? If we miss out on it, we have missed out. So, you know, we need to involve that as well. Inform and train, inform and train. Mentioned World Host earlier on. Wonderful collaboration between the Northern Ireland Tourist Board, People First, an organisation that I'm involved in, and Dell. Fantastic partnership, the likes of I've never seen before, has meant that very early in the new year, and we'll be hearing about it in advance of that, the World Host Programme, a world-class customer service programme for all of our businesses, heavily funded by that collaboration that I talked about, is available for all of our businesses. We were here in Derry a couple of weeks ago, launching it to a whole network of trainers who are presently in training, so that they can pass on that training. So it's a wonderful opportunity. It's very substantially funded. Trust me, don't miss out on it because it's too good to miss. So that's the sort of thing that we need to do to make sure that great service in your business today becomes exceptional service, and we keep it there. We keep at that exceptional level. So it is a massive opportunity. In conclusion, what do? Push up the bar, because we know that yesterday's great. It's not going to be good enough for 2012 in Derry, Londonderry. It's really not. So we really need to bite this opportunity off. We need to think innovatively, get in your customer's shoes, think really innovatively about the experience, and get someone on our team. Don't do it all yourself. Get your teams, get the champions, give them the responsibility to come up with that surprise and to delight plan. And make sure that everyone in your business, whether there's 1 of you, 2 of you, 15 of you, 40 of you, make them all ambassadors for your customer service plan for 2012, 2013. Big opportunity. The challenge is ours in this room. Are we up for it? Thank you very much.